Okay, good morning, everybody. We are live on several platforms, and I've got a really exciting live for you today. I do these occasionally where I bring my creative mastermind clients on here to talk about things that they're doing, because I think it's important for you to see both sides of the coin, what goes on behind the scenes, and talk to real, genuine people, or listen to real, genuine people who I've been working with for some time. So, because I'm on 7 platforms and I'm including even the Creative Business Academy this morning, I'll start by saying, if you don't know me, I'm Mandy Nicholson and I'm the Creative Genius Consultant. I'm an artist and an author and a creative retreat owner in Scotland. And I help amazing creative women like Nancy to launch, grow and scale their businesses and to make more money. We've got somebody on already saying good morning. Good morning to you too. So who I have with me this morning is an absolutely awesome lady who I saw instantly had something really special. And we've been working together for, is it 10 months now?
Yes, yeah.
10 months now. Doesn't the time go quick on the Creative
It does.
Mastermind? Yeah.
It really does.
So I'm going to rather than me introducing Nancy, I'm going to ask Nancy to introduce herself and tell you what she does. Over to you, Nancy.
All right. Hi, I'm Nancy Pinkerton, and I'm a mixed media artist. I create magical and distinctive photographs that are based on history and stories.
Fantastic. I loved that. The minute I heard it right at the start, I was like, ooh, there's something really interesting here because this is a little bit different.
It is very different.
Very niche. So you've got a 3-day challenge coming up, but tell people about your journey because you came to me with this Scottish Game of Thrones idea, which I
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
And over the last sort of 10 months, we've developed that. You're about to launch with a 3-day
Yeah.
challenge, which is going to be fantastic, by the way. If you're watching, please do join it. The link's in the description.
Mhm.
But tell people about that journey and the Scottish Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so several years ago, I found out about this new photography technique called levitation photography, and I was due to try it out, and I wanted to try it with some still life objects. So I found some playing cards, and the only playing cards I had was this deck that had photographs, images of all the Scottish monarchs. And I saw it and I thought, I need to do something amazing with this. This is an opportunity to tell great stories. So I instantly thought of like the Game of Thrones, the introduction scenario with the little objects and stuff on their intro. And then I started thinking about chess and the strategies and that. So that all started to form this idea. So I created a series of 15 images that are telling different stories about the Scottish monarchs, and they all have a chessboard in them, playing cards, and then objects. And each one is very different because I set it up. It's very symbolic to the story. But the whole collection together tells a bigger story of like the succession of the Scottish throne, starting with the defining of the Scottish English border up to the union of the crowns. And then within it, there's also stories about the wars of independence, and the Royal Scots. And one of the things that I really wanted to do with this was to inspire and engage people in history, because I like history myself. I'm interested in it, but I'm not, in school I wasn't interested in facts and dates and things like that. I was interested in the story, so it was about really getting into the stories. And it's interesting, like history has inspired so many different things, like films and television. So you've got like Braveheart, Rob Roy, the Outlaw King, that were directly inspired by Scottish history. But then you've got some kind of fantasy stories that have like inspiration. So you've got like Outlander and even Game of Thrones itself. So you've got the very famous Red Wedding scene, which was inspired by it's two events from Scottish history, the Black Dinner and the Glencoe Massacre. So I wanted to kind of use my art to tell these stories, because really I'm a storyteller, but I'm not good at writing things. I'm good at like kind of visualizing and using my images to tell these stories.
And the images are fantastic. They are really, but when you understand the story that goes with the image,
Yeah.
that's where it really, really comes to life, doesn't it? So not only did you create the images this year, you've
Yeah.
created a book.
Yes. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
had that idea from the very beginning to do a book, but it wasn't until I did the creative mastermind with Mandy that I really thought, okay, actually I can do it myself, and self-publish it. So I've created a book which I've self-published, and that's one of the things I'm going to be launching in my 3-day challenge, along with the whole collection and the uh like prints of the whole collection as well.
yeah. And there's so much. I mean, there's such an interest in Scottish history. Outlander blew the world, didn't it? With Scottish
Yes.
history, completely blew up the world. The
Yeah.
Americans everywhere, everyone loves Outlander,
Yeah.
and that really did spark an interest in Scottish history. So I think things like that are really good, and something
Yeah.
different like you're doing puts a different perspective.
Yeah.
Even though it's historically correct, the images that you've created give that different perspective on
Yeah.
that stage. There is something romantic and medieval about Scottish history, isn't there?
Yeah.
You can't deny
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Susie, who's on the Creative Mastermind as well, she said to me, when she first looked at it, she thought, oh, yeah, that's nice. But then more and more she looks at it, she sees different things, because there are so many in each one, although you look at it and you maybe think it's really simple, but then as you get into it a bit more, you see all the symbolism that I've used, and every single thing that's in those images means something, and even the way that they're positioned means something. And so it's good to have the story along with it as well, which I've tried to put just a quite very simple version of it, and just to kind of get people to understand the images, but also inspire people, if they're interested, to look more into the history.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's about that, isn't it? So, your 3-day challenge, tell people the journey you're going to take them on your amazing 3-day challenge.
Yeah.
What can they expect?
So the 3-day challenge is explore Scotland and its history through art photography. So every day I'm going to have 2 virtual tours of Scotland, which has a kind of dramatic narrative that tells a bit of a story about history. And then at the end, there's a question for you. And then each day there's also going to be a puzzle map, which has like a puzzle map. It's a puzzle map of Scotland with one piece missing, and underneath is one of my images. And the question is about that image, that event that I've told, and you have to use the clues in the photograph to figure out where that event happened. So then, after those 3 posts have gone up, there'll be a quiz, an interactive quiz that goes up with those 3 questions from those 3 posts on it. And you have from that will be posted at 3:30, and you have from then until I go live at 8 to answer the quiz questions. And then when I go live at 8, I will reveal the answers, reveal my images that relate to those stories, and then I will also reveal an exclusive offer that I have for my series. So from a book in my collections and things like that as well. And if you enter all 3 quizzes, you're entered into a prize draw, and the prize is a copy of my Scottish Game of Thrones book. So
Fantastic. And what a different challenge. Something that's actually interesting, that's educational, but a bit different from all the challenges that are out there. So I love that you've put this together, and I know that you've put a lot of time
yeah,
and effort into creating.
yes, yeah,
So I think it's going to be really exciting. If you fancy something a bit different, go and learn
Yeah.
something and go and participate and
Yeah.
find out more about these amazing images.
Yeah.
So we've now got, I mean, once you've been through this challenge, then there's bigger things afoot, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I've got other big plans for it, and more things I'm going to add into offer people as well after I've done the challenge and the launch. So
So where can people find you then?
so I've got I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've got a Facebook group called Almost Like Magic. Art and photography. So I share in that group. I'm sharing one image a week and kind of giving you more details on each of those images. And I've also just started TikTok as well. So, and I'm on LinkedIn too.
So go and find Nancy everywhere, connect with her, because this is something you're in here at the start of something unique and different. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see it come into fruition and finding its way through social media. So tell people about your experience of the Creative Mastermind, because obviously you didn't know
Yeah.
what you're getting into at the start of it, did you?
I, do you know, I had this series that I've done, and I'd gotten associate distinction for from the Royal Photographic Society. And I knew I wanted to do something with it, but I didn't know where to start. I had no idea where to start. And before I found Mandy, I thought, I, I spent all this time, working at other jobs, and not have enough time to do my creativity because I didn't think that I could earn money from my work. And and once I found Mandy, that sort of switched, and I thought, well, I can. Why can't I? That's what I've wanted to do for so long, is just to do my artwork and be able to earn money. So finding Mandy helped me change that mindset. And then as well, like before I found Mandy, I was on Facebook, I had Instagram, but I wasn't really sharing a lot. I'm very private, very like careful about where I shared stuff. Also, with my photographs, I was always really protective, and like I didn't want them to be copied and that, and worried about copyright and stuff. And then I realized, if I keep everything bundled up and safe, and nobody's going to see it,
Mhm,
and it's not going to go anywhere. So I had to get over that kind of feeling of wanting to protect myself and my work, to go, well, I need to just put everything out there, and create a brand, because I didn't have a brand. I didn't have a look, a style. And that's one of the big things. That was the first thing I did, was I just started working on my brand. And I've put, it's just basically black and white with a pop of pink. And my logo has the pink in my surname in pink.
mhm.
So it's just, and then I've just run with that and just added touches of pink everywhere in my text, in my, in my branding images and that kind of thing. And it really works. It's very distinctive,
Mhm.
and so is my work. And I have a very distinct style with photography. Remember years ago in the camera club, everybody would say, oh, know your work straight away, because even if I do a different subject, it's very, there's a style to it, and I'm very contrasty, very, you
Mhm.
know mood is very important to me when I create an image, and you can see that now through my branding. And
Yeah.
that was through Mandy's advice and all the stuff in the course that really helped me to kind of develop that brand. And then from there, I did actually one of Mandy's retreats in back in May, and that was great. And that's where we really came up with this plan to launch the book, the retail shop, and then then my next steps as well, so we've got a good plan, and that's helped keep me on track as well with what I'm doing. I've had a few uh little not little setbacks in a way where I wasn't well, and I just had to take a wee break from things. But actually, in the end, it worked out really well for me because now I have the time and the energy to do what I need to do, and through all that, Mandy was there to support. So if I didn't have Mandy and the creative mastermind and that support, I probably would have just gotten to those little hurdles and gone, oh, it's too much, it's too hard, and not done anything. And I think the thing that you said to me when I went on my discovery call was, think about where you want to be in a year. And I thought, do you know what? I know where I want to be in a year, but and I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to get there if I don't have help and support. And I really do believe if I hadn't joined when I did, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Thank you. And that's the thing, isn't it? A year can change your life. It can change the direction of your life. It can change your business. So it's amazing to see you where you are now. And I really want big things for you with this Scottish Game of Thrones. And it's not just that you've done the suffragettes series as well. There's lots of key historical things that you've looked at your work. And I see photography as the same as a paintbrush. I said that to you right at the start. You're an artist who sees things differently.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing that I struggled with, because I felt like, because I did photography, a lot of people saw me as a photographer and thought I should be doing weddings or portraits or service as a service, but that didn't really suit what I did. And I didn't start out as a photographer. I started out as an artist. I started out doing painting and mixed media and collage and that kind of thing. And I love doing that. I still do that stuff. But the photography kind of took over because I really enjoyed it. And when I found photography, what I liked about it was not the things that most photographers like. I like the distortions you can get with some lenses. I like the sort of blur that you could get, and the textures, and the ability to create something that was new and different and didn't actually exist. And I mean, this series really pushes that as well, that idea of something that doesn't exist. And and I found, like, so some photographers didn't really get my work. Some did, don't get me wrong, there are lots that did, there's some that didn't. But I've also shared it in art groups, and a lot of people didn't get it in art groups because it's a photograph.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was sort of
In the middle.
between these two worlds and
Yeah.
not really quite fitting. And I mean, the other thing is, with this series, I've made a lot of the objects, because I couldn't find them. I've made them or adapted them, so there is artwork that
Yeah.
I've created within it. So it was when I spoke to Mandy and I was explaining all this, and that's when you said to me, Nancy, you're a mixed media artist. And I was like, that's it, and I just hadn't clicked before that. And I think that's been a big thing about me changing how I speak about myself and how I present myself, and I think you lead people into how you want to be presented. And that has helped a lot, because I think people have seen my work more for what it is, now that I have the right language and the right wording for presenting it.
Yeah, totally. It's always that. And it works for everything. Whatever your niche is, it's about stepping into the persona that is your niche, that is actually authentically you. And
Yeah.
that's what you've done so very well with this fantastic series, Scottish Game of Thrones. People remember that, because you're going to see a lot. So go along and join the 3-day challenge, because it's 3 days that could be great fun, really interesting. You're going to learn loads, and connect with Nancy because she's awesome. And thank you for joining me today, Nancy. I can't wait to
Thank
see
you very
you.
much.
All right.
Yes.
I will see you all again next week, same time, different subject. So have an awesome week, everybody.